Hey guys, this is Jesse with averagejesse.com out here in my backyard in August, and it's 106 degrees outside, and behind me you can see that my garden is just absolute fresh hell. And I did a little investigation. I figured out what the problem is. I'm gonna fix it, and I figured I'd bring you guys along with me. So back when I first set up these raised beds, I had little 2-gallon-per-hour emitters on the poly line, and that worked out okay. But as I changed the watering time, what ended up happening is water was leaking out of the bed themselves and then it was flooding the ground. So that water was being wasted. It was getting too much. So then I switched over to inline emitters, and every 6 inches there was an emitter. But the problem is the water in Arizona is so hard, the emitters would get fouled up with calcium and they wouldn't drip any water. So no water is worse than too much water. But really I couldn't get anything balanced here, and what ended up happening was everything died. I switched to a couple of spray heads and some micro emitters, and that did help, but it's putting water in a lot of places that I don't want it, and it wasn't really saturating the ground to the level that I needed it to be. So that's just a band-aid. We really need a more permanent solution. What finally tipped me off was I have this little stretch here in front of my front door, and I planted some annuals, and they started dying at the very end of where this line is, this 1/4-inch poly line with the emitters, and every single plant working back from the emitter started dying. And so I noticed that when I would turn it on, there was less and less water down here at the end, where I assume all the debris or the clog or the calcium was ending up. And eventually these two plants here in the foreground are probably going to die as well. But it wasn't really until I had total failure all over my yard, front and back, that I really got serious about fixing this problem. So after visiting a local farm here in the valley, Steadfast Farm over in the east side of the valley, and watching some videos by Curtis Stone, I'm going to install some drip tape and see if this drip tape ends up fixing my problem. And I figured I would take you along with. We can put in one of these barbed connectors into the existing poly line and at least get this run in front of my house done. So let's pull this little barb out. This one is substantially larger, but this has been in the heat all day and it went right in. Excellent. All right, let me go grab the line. All right, here we are at the other end. I got one of these little end connectors on, and gotta do 1 and 2 folds, and that ought to be all she wrote. All right, let's turn it on and see if it leaks. No leaks. Oh, leaks. All right, I'll need to fix that. I don't think I bent it quite enough. Whoop, all right, back to the drawing board. Now what happened? Well, if you read the instructions as opposed to just looking at the pictures, it will tell you the minimum number of folds, which I did not have enough of. It will also tell you that there is some leakage that will occur from this connection, and if you want it to be watertight, there's another connection you need to buy. So I will be back after I order the right parts. All right, it is now 7 p.m. in Phoenix, and it is a lovely 100 degrees outside, but at least the sun is not hitting me. You can hear the air conditioner going on in the background because the air conditioners run pretty much 24/7 here in Phoenix in the summertime. But I got a couple of the parts that I needed, so we're gonna go ahead and change the irrigation in this bed from this spaghetti line with the embedded emitters to the new drip tape that we just got. So step 1 is gonna be to cut off the end pipe here for the poly line that I have coming into the raised bed, install this coupler and run another length to the end of the bed, so then we can start running the drip tape down in rows in this bed itself. All right, let's get this off here. We'll get this side of the coupler on. And then we'll get our new poly line extension on. All right, we got our coupler on, our quick disconnect, and we are ready to plug the other end and then start getting our drip lines punctured into this poly. So I've got the end capped, but there is a bow in this line and it's not straight. And if I were to straighten it, it would come off a little bit. So what I think I'm gonna do is go ahead and put in the drip lines where I want them, and then after the sun comes and heats this up tomorrow afternoon around lunchtime, cut this back and maybe move this down a little bit. But right now it's fighting me and I don't really want to break the line any more than I have to, but it's capped off, so it'll work for tonight. Okay, here's the situation. I've got to get this drip tape into this poly line using this barbed fitting, but I do not have the little tool that you need to puncture the holes in the fitting. So I'm gonna use my drill and just hope that I don't punch all the way back through the end. So let's give it a go. All right, success. Put this tape on there. All right. Now, because I read the instructions earlier, I know that you have to fold this over quite a few times to make a solid connection, and it's still gonna leak out at the end, which is fine because where I'm gonna put it is right here at the end of my bed. So if it leaks there, then it will water whatever's gonna grow up this trellis. So let's fold that over. Let's give it a good, you gotta put the collar on first. Come on, buddy. All right. Back that in. Give it a little tug. And we should be good. Okay, let's turn it on and see how bad the leak is gonna be. It's not gonna be bad because we know what we're doing. Experts. All right, no leaks. Getting drippage. Minimal leaks here, well, acceptable leaks here. Don't mind that, you see nothing. Acceptable leaks there. And for the rest of the line, still has that poly. I'm gonna get some goof plugs and put them in there. But I think I'm gonna call that a success, and we'll poke in maybe 3 more lines here and run them down the bed, and I'll come back when it's finished. So here is what the finished product looks like. We've got all of our runs down at the end. We have basically the manifold set up over here with all those barb fittings. And I'm excited to test this out over the next couple of days. So it is the next morning, and everything looks pretty good here. What I might do is cut this and move it back just a little bit further, because it did look like we had a little bit of running between the boards here, but overall I like it. One other thing I noticed is that it didn't quite have the penetration that I need, which means that the flow rate on these was lower, or is lower than what I had previously. So I need to increase the amount of run time for these raised beds. But before I can do that, I've got to change out this Frankentube monster because this one's already leaking pretty badly. So I don't want to run this longer and waste more water. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. All right, I got all the new drip tape installed, but due to a miscalculation or perhaps some other tomfoolery, I did not have enough ends
for the amount of lines I was going to run. So I've got a couple of clamps there. Let's see if that will hold out until my next order arrives, and I'll let you know in the morning if that works or not. So the answer to will these little black clips hold was a resounding negative. I ended up having to upgrade from the 99-cent clips to the $1.99 clips, and that held last night without any problems. So don't be cheap, spend the extra 99 cents plus tax, and get these bigger clamps if you find yourself in the same situation where you don't have one of the end caps running one of these drip lines. One silver lining is 2 days after we replace this drip tape here in the front of the house, I have some morning glories that have shot up, which is a pretty good indicator that it's getting enough water and it's germinating the seeds. So I would call this part of the installation a success. Well, our bag of tricks finally arrived, and in the last couple of days we've noticed a lot more little tiny things sprouting in this bed. I used to have some wildflowers here, so that's cool, and that's evidence that it's getting enough water. But let's go ahead and change this end to one of these watertight caps. All right, we got that installed, and now what I want to do is go grab one of those pipe anchors or a little stake or something to put in here to prevent this from wiggling around, but it looks good to me. I've got a couple more to add in the other raised beds, and then this project will be over.
I'm gonna finish this video here in my office because it's crazy windy outside and you would just hear nothing but wind on the microphone. But after having the drip tape installed for about a week now, I'm so far impressed. The two biggest takeaways are order more of those barb fittings than you think you need, because now I like to put them in other places besides just in my raised beds. And if you have any birds that visit your raised beds or garden areas, if there's no water in the line, they are super light, so birds can move them easily. Also, we had a bunch of wind. As I mentioned before, we're having a lot of that right now in Phoenix. The wind can blow them around, so definitely plan on having some type of anchor to put on the ends of those lines, whether it's the watertight fittings or I've taken some clothes hangers, some wire clothes hangers, and cut them to make kind of a loop to just kind of drop down over on top of the lines. Other than that, the most shocking thing was just how many seeds are germinating, how many seeds were lying dormant from years of letting plants go to seed, and they just didn't get enough water. So, shame on me, but I'm glad we got that fixed, and I'm really looking forward to the fall growing season because this summer season was pretty much a total loss. So thanks for watching. I appreciate all the support this channel's been getting. If you have any other comments or suggestions, definitely put them down in the comments. I'll leave links for the DripWorks pieces that I used for this project. I was really happy with their products, and their website's really easy to navigate, so I really think I'll be ordering from them more in the future. They've got a lot of cool parts that I'd like to try out. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.